it is said that Atlanta is one of the best places to live in if you're black, right? And I'm here to give my opinion about it, right? So let me just give you a little bit of background. I lived in Charlotte. This is my second time living in Charlotte, right? So the first time I lived in Charlotte was in 2009, and then I think about 2017, 16, something around that time, I moved away from Charlotte. I was like everybody else, I heard all of the hype. Atlanta is a black mecca, it's a land of opportunity. If you're an entrepreneur, if you have a career in music and, just overall entertainment, it's the black Hollywood. And I'm not gonna lie, I got caught in the hype. You understand? Here I am, I'm an author. I was struggling to, sell my books, I wanted to do several different things. I wanted to be a YouTuber, a fitness trainer, a vegetarian chef, and it wasn't really working, like I wanted it to work in Charlotte. It was like working at a snail's pace, but it was still somewhat of progress. So I felt as though that, I'm hearing all of this stuff about Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? If I move to Atlanta, that's just the ignorance in me. If I move to Atlanta, everything will be all right. It'll be great. I'll be amongst my own, right? So I moved to Atlanta, and technically I didn't live in Atlanta, like city limits, right? I actually stayed in Sandy Springs and Marietta. Now, Sandy Springs used to be part of Atlanta, right? But they separated themselves in, I think, 2005, 2006. But overall, it's still Fulton County. So I stayed in Fulton County when I stayed in Sandy Springs. But I actually lived in Metro Atlanta. That's what they would call Sandy Springs and Marietta. That's Metro Atlanta. Atlanta is the city limit. So I stayed there for about 2.5 to 3 years, right? And I can tell you, before I even moved there, I, would go down through a month I did this. I would go down, drive around or whatever, get familiar with, Atlanta and Metro Atlanta, and I think I attended one of the festivals down there in Piedmont Park, and I got this energy, like it was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was just like, yo, you might want to think twice about this place. But my ignorance overwhelmed it, overcame that and was like, yo, forget about that shit. You know what I'm saying? You black, this is the black mecca, this is your opportunity, make it happen. So I get down there and I moved to Marietta first. And then eventually I moved to Sandy Springs, right? When my lease was up in Marietta in an apartment. So what I realized instantly is that, for one, the apartments there are shitty, right? The rental apartments, the apartment communities, they're shitty. Like, a lot of them are really, really shitty, even though that they'll say, you know what? These are luxury apartments. So what I would be paying in Charlotte, right? Say, for example, I'm paying $1,200 in Charlotte for a 2-bedroom, 2 baths, full baths, 2 full baths, 2 bedrooms, and vaulted ceilings. Brand new. I'm paying $1,200 for that. In Atlanta, I'm paying for a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, big ass cockroaches. You know what I'm saying? They call them like wood bugs or some shit like that. Palmetto bugs or something. It's just like this big. And when you move out, what they do is, in a bathtub, they repaint the bathtub. I've never seen that ever in my fucking life. I've never seen a painted bathtub. They don't clean the bathtub. They don't take the bathtub out, right? They just paint over the fucking dirt or whatever the fucking rust or whatever. That's what I'm paying for, $1,200 for that. So that's the first thing that I recognize off the rip. You're not getting your money's worth when you live in these so-called luxury apartments and housing. You understand? And in order to live a decent lifestyle, right? Even though you could get robbed or your car could get stolen, Wherever you're at, whether you're in Atlanta, whether you're in Metro Atlanta, whether you're in the good side of Atlanta, whether you're in the bad side of Atlanta, whether you're in the good side of Metro Atlanta or the bad side of, doesn't make a difference. You can still get it. But if you want to live in a decent area, right, you have to live in North Metro Atlanta. Like Dunwoody, some parts of Brookhaven, definitely Sandy Springs. You know what I'm saying? Further up Roswell Road, going towards Roswell. Well, I wouldn't recommend Alpharetta for black people because that's when it starts. Let me tell you something. Marietta is racist. Cobb County is racist. Kennesaw is racist. Sandy Springs, somewhat. It's. I got stopped when I was living in Sandy Springs. I think I lived there for like a year and a half or something like that. I can't remember, but I got stopped by the cops 3 times. Alpharetta, definitely a no-go. Once you go beyond Alpharetta, further up 400, Forsyth County, no. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you is it is not the best place for black people to live in. Atlanta, the city of Atlanta, practices classism, right? And then Metro Atlanta practices racism. So if you're living in Atlanta, right, there's only 2 classes in Atlanta. Straight up poor people or rich people. That's it. I've never seen so many homeless people ever in my life until I moved to Atlanta. Period. Never in my life. All behind Grady and down Edgewood where MLK, that MLK Center is. Oh my God. Bums living under the bridge on Highway 85. Man, please. I've never seen this shit. Like it's homeless people everywhere. It ain't just homeless people like in Atlanta. It's homeless people everywhere in Metro Atlanta. You'll see a bum asking for money on Highway 400 on a bridge. Or 85 on a bridge. That's normal. Like, how the fuck did you even get up here? I'm just trying to understand how in the world are people buying into this sales pitch, which is, you know what? Black people, that is. Which is, you know what? Atlanta's, if you come down here and you're black, you'll live a great life. No! Atlanta's a bunch of fake people. People that'll get over on you. You think that this person knows this person or that person or whatever have you. Next thing you know, that person don't know shit. You thinking that this girl got all these connections and she making this money and that money. Next thing you know, she's sleeping on somebody else's couch. That's how Atlanta people get down. Now, the Atlanteans, the people that are born and raised, like I would call them, they call themselves Grady babies. And the reason why they call themselves Grady babies is because most of the people that live in Atlanta were born, you know, were given, came into existence in Grady Hospital, right? So they're fine. You'll find a lot of Atlanteans, people that are native to the city, born and raised, they're great. They're Gucci. It's the implants. I've said this 1,001 times. Matter of fact, I really feel as though that I have made this video for the 12th millionth time. But this shit just keeps on coming up. I just don't understand how in the world that black people are still buying this whole, if you're black, you move to Atlanta, everything will be okay. The reason why I'm doing this video is because I just recently looked at somebody's channel. I forgot who it was. Somebody I didn't know, but it just popped up on my feed. And the female was talking about she moved from Alabama to Atlanta. And her friend had a house in Atlanta, and she was like, yo, you know, she asked me 2 times to, you know, move in with her. And the second time I said, you know, I'll go ahead. So she goes on to say that she gave the friend that she moved in with $200. And the 4th day that she was there, she found a job. That was Friday. That following Monday, her friend told her that she had to leave, that this ain't gonna work. She ain't even been there but less than a week. But that's how motherfuckers get down in Atlanta. You know how many fucking stories I've heard? I'm telling you, if you're black, especially if you're black, don't go down there. And I know some of y'all are gonna say, well, you know, I got a good paying job down there. You know, I was offered this and that and blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. Go down there. And then if you're just a caring person, if you look out for people, if you don't like seeing your own people down and out and fucked up, I suggest that you don't move down there. Straight up. Because there are people that love it down there. I'm not lying. For the people that love it down there, they're just like everybody else. They fake. They all about money. They materialistic. And I'm not lying. I got down there and I started acting like them to a certain extent. Straight up. I was all about that money and shit. I ain't never taken heed. I'm the type of person that I treat money like a resource, like a tool, like how it's supposed to be treated, right? I'm not the type of person to be braggadocious and I want this and that and blah, 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 blah. But I found myself living in a land of saying I have to go to this restaurant. I got to wear these clothes. I got to do this and I got to do that, like them. And then a loved one had to G-check me. And I was like, oh shit, I couldn't believe it. So if you don't want to change your loving and caring and concerned attitude, I suggest that you don't move there. Because let me tell you something. I don't give a fuck if a person offered me $1 million to move back to Atlanta. I wouldn't take it. I just wouldn't. I just don't understand it. And I've been all over Atlanta, in Metro Atlanta. I've heard people talk about these different rappers talk about different areas in Atlanta or Metro Atlanta. First and foremost, the Migos are not from Atlanta. They're from Stone Mountain. It's the difference. That's considered Metro Atlanta. See, this is the thing. For those that don't know about Atlanta, that just visit, you know what I'm saying, that haven't lived there, and they're just looking from the outside looking in, right? If I were to live in Atlanta, right, and I were to visit like my family members in New York, and people were to ask me, you know, hey, family members, friends and family members were to ask me, yo, where do you live at? And I would be like, yo, I live in Atlanta. Because it would be difficult for me to say I live in Sandy Springs. They don't know what Sandy Springs, what the fuck is Sandy Springs? If I say Sandy Springs, Georgia. And then at the end of the day, like, you know, when I used to get mail, you know what I'm saying? When I lived in Sandy Springs, I could put Atlanta, Georgia, or put Sandy Springs. It's kind of like the situation with Jamaica, Queens. You could put Queens, New York, or put Jamaica, New York. You understand where I'm coming from? So I would tell my family members, yo, I live in Atlanta. But the reality of it is that if I were, you know, I mean, of course I'm living in Metro Atlanta. So when I'm in Metro Atlanta and someone were to ask me, say for example, if I was like at Piedmont Park in Atlanta, like in downtown Atlanta, right? If I was in Piedmont Park and somebody were to ask me where do I live at in the city, I would say, stay in Sandy Springs. And they would know the difference between Atlanta city limits and Sandy Springs. You know, Atlanta, and Metro Atlanta. And it's crazy, man, like, for someone to sit back and say, or roll with this narrative that it's just amazing for black people to live in Atlanta and Metro Atlanta. Man, they lying. You understand? First and foremost, North Metro Atlanta is a decent area to stay in, right? But you can get it. You can get it anywhere. If you're living in Buckhead. Buckhead is a fancy ass area. Lenox Mall is a high-class, high-end mall, but there have been shootouts in Lenox Mall. I've never been to a mall that had metal detectors. And I ain't talking about like for someone that's stealing clothes. I'm talking about metal detectors because people walk in and out of Lenox Malls with guns. But you could definitely get it anywhere. North Metro Atlanta, it's somewhat, it's safe, but you can get it anywhere. South Fulton or like going further down south. Well, I ain't gonna say further down south, but south Metro Atlanta or South Atlanta, I don't know how you would put it, but where the airport is at, places like College Park, East Point, those areas look like third world countries. I'm not even lying. There are areas that's in Atlanta that are just like, yo, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. And don't you even dare try to move. Like, in the state of Georgia, like places like Athens, Macon, and Augusta. Oh my God. Black people, I'm not even lying, I'm not making this shit up. And I know people are gonna get at me in the comment section. But yo, you visit those places, those places, Augusta, Macon, Athens, Georgia. It's a shitload of them. You visit those places and you would truly believe, like the blacks that live there, you would really believe that they are unaware that slavery is over. It's not funny, man, but I'm telling you, man, people just think that, you know, Atlanta is so far ahead that, you know, racism doesn't exist there, classism doesn't exist there. You know, it's just this beautiful ass place. And taking heat, I'm not gonna lie, Atlanta, just as well as Metro Atlanta, it is a beautiful ass environment. It's nothing but trees everywhere. You know, it's a natural environment. You know what I'm saying? Like man, you're gonna be able to breathe there for real, because it's shitloads of oxygen in that area because it's just trees everywhere. It's beautiful, no lie. But the people, it's just the people that make it bad. You understand? And I don't want to go too far, you know, deep into this whole LGBTQ community thing, because I don't want to disrespect anyone. But if you are homophobic, you're not gonna want to move to Atlanta, let alone Metro Atlanta. I mean, man, there are the whole LGBTQ community is all in downtown Atlanta. Like right when they're in the, what is it? It's the intersection. They got a rainbow like square where the intersection is Piedmont, and I forgot the street that goes across it, but that's where they party at. They're heavily populated in downtown Atlanta as well as in Buckhead, straight up. But they're everywhere, and I don't mean to talk about them like that. You understand? Like as if, you know what I'm saying? Like no, I'm not saying that. You understand? To each his own. You have the right to love, you know, who you want to love and do what you want to do in life, period. I'm just telling you, for those that are homophobic, you understand? Those that don't like being around people that are not, so to speak, normal, you're not going to want to be down there, straight up. You know what I'm saying? When I first got down there, I was like, yo, man, I don't know what y'all talking about, straight up. Like, y'all talking about this, you know, the LGBTQ community is everywhere. I ain't seen one yet. Oh, I was wrong. Another thing, police officers, cops, if you don't like law enforcement, and I understand that law enforcement is everywhere, you know what I'm saying? No matter what, there's no such thing as a policeless state or yet alone city. No such thing. But in Metro Atlanta, oh my God, they have a shitload of police officers. You have law enforcement in each and every city, county. So take for example, Marietta has Marietta Police. Then they have Cobb County Police. Then they have Kennesaw Police. Then they have Dunwoody Police. They have Decatur Police. They have Atlanta, like Atlanta Police, right? They have Georgia State Police. They have East Point Police, College Park Police. I mean, the list goes on. It's a shitload of officers down there, and it bugs me out that there's so many damn cops and law enforcement, but it's still shitloads of crime going on in Atlanta and around it, Metro Atlanta. And I'm not gonna lie, man, you know, before I cut my dreads off, because I had dreads, they were like, you know, I was growing them for 8 years. You would see people that look just like me on TV every day. Every day. guy with long dreads, that's typical. Dreads, gold teeth, typical. Every day you'll see on the news, and such killed such and such and such, and they'll show a picture of him. Dude got long dreads with gold teeth. The crime down there is ridiculous, man. Straight up, when I was down there, a whole lot of shit happened. I mean, dudes were getting robbed. I remember, and they actually had this shit on videotape. This dude got robbed. He got stuck up by a motorcyclist. Guy was on a motorcycle. He stops at a red light, right? Another dude was in a Bentley. He pulls out the gun. The guy that's on the motorcycle pulls out the gun, telling him, yo, give me your shit. And the guy to give it to him out the window. Buckhead, please. You know how many motherfucking damn car break-ins and robberies? And Buckhead is like high sedity. It's just crazy, man. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, if you moved there and you already convinced that it's nothing, no one could, tell you, to make you change your mind. You're just gonna have to go along with it. And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, at the end of the day, you're gonna move back to your hometown and you're gonna be on YouTube saying the same shit that I'm saying, for real. I'm not lying, man. Like, Atlanta is horrible, man. So some people may say, well, where do you think is a good area or a good place for blacks to stay? In America, man, that's kind of like difficult. You understand? Because racism is everywhere. Classism is everywhere. You know what I'm saying? But there are cities and states that are worse or better, And I don't want to. I'm not coming off like on some shit like, I'm not trying to be biased, just because I live here. Charlotte is cool. Charlotte has the same thing, but it's just not as bad as Atlanta. You understand? And I want to say this too. Like, I don't plan on moving. I don't plan on living here for the rest of my life. I mean, I'm definitely gonna move, sometime soon. But here I'm content. But at the same time, I have my eyes open. You understand? I'm aware of my surroundings, and that's the only thing that you can do. Just be aware of your surroundings. For those that live in Atlanta, just make sure you lock your doors and you take the proper precautions, in order that nothing won't happen to yourself as well as your loved ones. Other than that, man, it just seems as though, to me, it's messed up to say, but it's just the truth. It seems as though that, like, whenever you have a black city, was predominantly blacks in one area, it's just like the worst place to live in. You would think that, it'd be the opposite. It'd be the best place to live in. Black police officers, city officials, this and that and so forth. It'd be great, but man, hell no. And your local government down there, Keisha Lansbottoms, I think she's still a mayor. Man, please, it's corrupt. Public school system fucked up. I ain't saying Charlotte got the best, because they right behind Atlanta, but damn, Atlanta's fucked up, man. Straight up. And now that they're like tearing down these hoods and shit that's in Atlanta, and like they probably have achieved it now. But I know, like, when I was living there about 2.5-3 years ago, the ultimate goal was to get rid of, like, poor people, and just have Atlanta just be nothing but rich people living in the area. And they were doing it. They were removing poor people out of Atlanta. And ain't no such thing as no middle class in Atlanta. It's either you have it or you don't. That plain and simple. It just seems, man, it seems though that everybody be faking down there, man. You can't believe shit anyone says down here. If they say they know T.I. or they know Tyler Perry and they can help you become a star, and you better not believe that shit. You better not. Hey man, you do what you want to do with your life. I mean, I think that I've said enough. I am definitely done with talking about Atlanta and doing videos about it. You know, I've done several. If you don't get it now, you know, and getting it means, you know, that Atlanta's not the place to be. You're better off where you're at. You understand? Make it happen where you're at. You know, you have the internet, and the internet, you know what I'm saying, you have access to any and everything. It's not like 2021, it's not about like where you are from or where you live at. You know, it's not about that, because the internet, you could be talking to somebody in Japan. You could reach somebody in Japan. You know, a fan of yours could be from Japan. So it doesn't make a difference where you're at. It's about your online presence. That's what it's about. So make it happen online, man. Keep your ass where you're at, because Atlanta is not the place to be, unless you like a bunch of crime, you like a bunch of, you know, hookah lounges, strip clubs. I'm done, man. My name is Langston2092. I want you to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely share this video. Peace.